It's 6:12 p.m. on a Tuesday. You're trapped in a standstill on the I-95 or the 101 or whatever stretch of asphalt you've spent the last 2 years learning to loathe. Your phone is at 4%. There's an urgent request from your boss sitting in your inbox that you simply don't have the bandwidth to open. Your lower back is throbbing from 8 hours in an ergonomic chair, and the only thought vibrating in your brain is, I am physically incapable of standing at a stove tonight. So you open UberEats, Thai food, $22 for a curry, $5.99 for delivery, $4 service fee, a $6 tip because you feel guilty. It hits $42 after tax. You press place order without even looking at the total because you've made too many decisions today and your cognitive reserve is empty. You get home, the food is lukewarm, you eat it on the sofa, crack a beer, and mindlessly scroll through a show you don't even like. You tell yourself, I earned this. I worked hard today. And you did. But here is what I want you to sit with as you look at that $42 receipt. You didn't pay for that meal with money. My name is Liam, and I've spent years performing a forensic audit on the invisible math of modern employment. What I've found is this: most people are living in a total hallucination regarding their hourly rate. It's not that we're bad at math, it's that the labor industry was meticulously designed to hide the real equation from us. You're convinced your time is worth $35 an hour because that's what your contract says. Your lifestyle seems to confirm it. But if we conduct an audit of your life like a corporate CFO, if we draw up a profit and loss, P&L statement for your workday, the final figure will be so minuscule that it will forever change your relationship with every purchase, every promotion, and every minute spent in a traffic jam. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Today we're going to do something uncomfortable. We're going to calculate your net hourly wage. Not the vanity number in your offer letter, but what's left after every operational expense and invisible tax of being employed. This is going to sting, but it's the only path to actual freedom. Let's look at the lie we've all accepted. We're taught to measure our value by our annual salary. If you make $70,000 a year, that's roughly $34 an hour. Sounds solid, right? Middle-class security. But a business doesn't think like that. If a tech company looks only at revenue and ignores overhead, it goes bankrupt. If an IT firm sells $1 billion in software but spends $1.1 billion on servers and marketing, that company is worth zero. Yet, when it comes to our own labor, we only look at the gross salary. We ignore the cost of goods sold, COGS. And the product being sold is your life. The cost of selling yourself to an employer is far higher than you think. Meet David. He's a project manager in Atlanta. He's 34, earns $70,000, has a decent apartment, a mid-size SUV, and thinks he's doing okay. On paper, he makes $34 an hour. Let's do the forensic accounting. Before David sees a single cent, the government takes its slice, income tax, Social Security, and insurance. His $34 an hour instantly drops to $26. That's the baseline we all know. But now, let's subtract the expenses that exist only because of this job. First, logistics. David spends 40 minutes commuting each way. That's gas, that's the depreciation of his vehicle, that's oil changes, tires, and an insurance premium that's higher because of his mileage. If he didn't have this job, he wouldn't need to put 15,000 miles a year on a car just to drive to a concrete box. According to AAA, owning and operating a vehicle at that mileage costs about $5,500 a year. And that's a conservative estimate. Second, packaging the product. David can't show up in pajamas. He needs suits, dress shirts, and quality shoes. He pays for dry cleaning when he spills coffee in a rush. He gets a haircut every 4 weeks instead of every 8 because he's client-facing. That's another $1,500 a year he wouldn't spend if he stayed home. Third, the convenience tax. David buys a prepared lunch 3 times a week because he was too exhausted to meal prep on Sunday. That's $30 a week, $1,500 a year. He grabs a double espresso every morning because he's underslept for the morning meeting. Another $800. He pays for a deep cleaning service for his apartment because by the weekend he's too drained to hold a mop. These aren't luxuries. They are maintenance costs to keep the product, himself, functional. Then there's the darkest category, damage control spending. This is the money David spends just to recover from the office, the Friday happy hour that turns into a $70 tab, the late-night impulse shopping at 11 p.m. because it gives him a fleeting illusion of control over his life, the expensive gym membership he keeps but never uses just to feel like a human being. When you add up the taxes, the car, the wardrobe, the lunches, and the recovery costs, David isn't taking home $70,000. His actual disposable income to build a real life is closer to $41,000. But that's only half the problem. A wage is money divided by time. We overestimate the money and catastrophically underestimate the time. HR says David works 40 hours a week. Let's start the stopwatch. David wakes at 6:30 a.m., shower, shave, grooming, selecting the corporate armor. That's 40 minutes a day he wouldn't need without the job. He drives 40 minutes to the office. That is unpaid labor. He works 8 hours, technically 9, because he takes a 1-hour lunch, but he's not free during that lunch. He can't nap, he can't see his family, and he is a hostage of proximity. Then he drives 40 minutes back. Then 30 minutes at home just staring at a wall, trying to unplug his brain from a passive-aggressive email. This is shadow work, time that belongs to the company, but the company doesn't pay for it. In reality, David isn't giving the job 40 hours. He's giving it 60 hours a week. Now, let's do the real math. We take David's net profit, $41,000, and we divide it by the real time dedicated to work, roughly 3,000 hours a year. The result, $13.60 an hour, not $34. $13.60. David makes less than a shift lead at a fast food chain, but the shift lead leaves with a clear head, while David carries the weight of stress 24/7. This is the scam. You've been lured into a low-margin, high-churn business model where you are both the CEO and the raw material, and you're operating at a loss. I'm not telling you this to make you depressed. I'm giving you vision. Once you know your true rate, your relationship with the world changes. This concept, popularized in the book Your Money or Your Life, is the most powerful reset tool I've ever found. Look, suppose your real hour is worth $12. You walk into a store and see branded sneakers for $180. Your brain needs to instantly translate that tag. This is not $180. This is 15 hours of my life. That is 15 hours of traffic, 15 hours of pointless meetings, and 15 hours of missed dinners. Are those shoes worth 15 hours of your existence? The answer is almost always no. This isn't about saving pennies. It's about precision. It's knowing the real price and the only currency that matters, your time. This is also why promotions are often a cage. David is offered a senior manager title and a $15,000 raise. Sounds great, right? But now David has to be in the office 5 days instead of 4. He needs more status clothing. His stress spikes, so he spends an extra $3,000 on a vacation just to avoid a burnout. If you run the numbers again, David's real hourly rate might actually decrease after the promotion. He's processing more cash through his life, but keeping less of his soul. These are golden handcuffs. And here's the part that haunts me. The invisible price. Every dollar spent on maintaining the job is a dollar not compounding for your future. That $5 coffee you buy because you're too tired to brew it at home. If invested at 7% over 30 years, that becomes $160,000. You aren't drinking a latte. You are drinking your freedom. You are consuming the capital that could eventually buy you out of the system forever. I'm not suggesting you quit tomorrow and move into a van. We have responsibilities. I am suggesting optimization. Your new scoreboard isn't your title or your gross income. It's your margin. Can you negotiate remote work 2 days a week? You just saved 3 hours of your life and $20 in gas. That is the fastest raise you'll ever get. Can you move closer to the office? Can you stop buying clothes to impress people you don't even like? Every dollar of work expense you cut is pure profit in your pocket. Your life is a business. If you earn $100,000 but spend $98,000 and work 80 hours to do it, you are a failing enterprise on the brink of collapse. But if you earn $50,000, spend $25,000 and work 30 hours, you are a thriving, resilient corporation. You are winning. The weekend audit. This Sunday morning, when your brain is fresh, calculate your real wage, include taxes, commute, food, and soul-healing expenses. Divide the remainder by your real time. Write that number on a sticky note and put it on your monitor. My rate, $11.20. The next time you want to buy something, and ask yourself if it's worth those hours. We live in an age where time is the only true currency. The rich buy time, the poor sell it at a discount. Stop devaluing yourself, audit your life. Find that gap between income and expense because that gap is where your freedom lives. If this video made you think, share it with someone who looks exhausted at the office. We're all in this equation together, but we can solve our way out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. If you want to know why looking rich is the fastest way to stay broke, click here. See you soon.